Hi, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and today this is CRAP number 13, and CRAP stands for Creative Relaxation and Play. And I'm going to fool around with a few products that I've got. I've got a couple of new ones that I want to give a try as well. I've been wanting to do a mixed media canvas again for a while, and so I have my canvas here, and I really don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm going to try some different things. So the first thing is I need to lay down a background, and I've pulled up from my stash a page of an old atlas here that I think I'm going to rip up and glue down. And on top of that, I'm going to lay down some music. This is from an old hymnary, and some text, and this is from an old dictionary. And we'll see what happens there. Now this mixed media canvas is going to take me probably quite a while to do, and over several days. Of course, you're not going to have to watch the video for several days for all of this. And I'll stop it at different stages of it and then pick it back up and eventually compile the whole thing together. So I'm going to start off by laying down a background, and I think I was debating on what to use to stick this down with. I usually use gel matte medium, but I have this bottle of all-purpose Mod Podge in matte, and I think I'm going to try it. It says it's all in one. It's a water-based sealer and glue, and dries quick and clear. So we'll give this a try and see how this works out. I don't know where I picked this up, but I did somewhere, and haven't used it yet, so we'll give it a try. So I've got this big atlas sheet here. I think I'm just going to rip strips of it off and lay it here and there. Maybe take another longish strip and overlap these. And same with some of this music. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just sort of laying it down here to get an idea of placement. And I'll let it overhang on the edges, and I think I'll trim off. Actually, I might not bother trimming off because this is a canvas, so if I have a little bit of the canvas poking up right now, it's not going to really matter that much, because I will be putting paint and other layers on top of it. Yeah, okay, that looks good enough. That's what I think I will do. So I'm going to glue this all down, and I'll just glue a couple of pieces to start with to get it started, and then I'll go off camera and glue the rest of it. No need to sit here and watch glue dry. So some of this on here. And normally you put some on both sides, but I think I'll use this side. I'll stick to this side, but I'm not going to bother right now. And I'm not putting it right up to the edge, because I'm going to leave sort of a little bit of a border around here, I think, which I can fill in with paint later or whatever. Yeah, I'll use this side of this one because it's a little different color. And let's throw another piece in here. I'm really not overthinking this at all. Like I said, I don't know what this is going to turn into, and as you know from some of my other crap videos, sometimes we get crap, sometimes we get something that isn't crap. But if anything, we usually get something that's very interesting. And there's my clock going, and just let that finish its chiming, which is probably telling me that it is time for me to pause the video, finish this up, and then come back with whatever I'm going to do with it next. Okay, so I took my heat tool and I've dried this layer on here, and now I'm thinking I want to add a little color to it, which means I could sort of paint over top of it, and I may do that yet, but I've got some of these leftover jelly prints right here, and at this point I still have no idea about colors, so I'm just going to maybe rip a few of these up in random, and because they're on deli paper, they'll become very translucent once I get the Mod Podge on them. So they'll just sort of melt right in. So I'm just tearing them off here. And I'm just randomly placing them down. Yeah, that's all I'm going to use on that, so save the rest of these larger slips for another time. So once again, I'm just going to use some of the Mod Podge to glue these down. And I gotta get a paper towel. Got my brush sitting in water over here for now, so I just want to keep it from drying out. And because I knew that I was going to be using it again, I didn't want to wash it all out and then just get it out again. So lay down some more of the Mod Podge. And I'm not that concerned about wrinkles at this stage. Just all adds texture. And I've got, this one's got a bit of bleed, as you can see. And you want to know something? That's okay. I must have used something that was water soluble on that piece at one point in time. And I'm probably going to put another color on this anyways because I want to tone it down. I want it to sort of blend together. But for now, we're just laying down odds and ends. And there goes my phone, so I'll be back. And that was one of those lovely little phone calls that you get when you're in the middle of something that's about nothing at all. Newspaper wants me to subscribe. Yeah, I feel sorry for them in this day and age because I don't know how many people actually read the printed form anymore. I get my news on the TV, and I don't really subscribe to any newspaper, and if I was going to anyways, it would be in electronic form. So they must get tired of people hanging up on them. I try to be polite. I say, you know, I'm really not interested. Thanks very much for your call. I don't really let them get into their sales pitch, and then I hang up. Okay, so back to this. Ooh, there's a little bit more red. That one's really bleeding. Okay, well, that's okay. It adds something to it. Okay, so this is a wonderful mess at the moment, and I think I'm going to, some of it's crawling up here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to dry it again, and then we'll see what we'll do next. Okay, so I'm thinking I need to lay down some color on here that is going to unify all these pieces together, and I want to make it fairly translucent. So I think I'm going to mix up a couple of colors of paint, and using this glazing liquid, I'm going to make it into a glaze. A glaze basically is a very transparent layer of paint that allows whatever's underneath it to shine through. At least that's the theory, and that's what I'm going to try. with this. And the other day I was looking for some metallic paints because I wanted to do something. I have an idea in the back of my head that I want to make this look very antique and very metallic and rusty kind of a thing. And I've got these two colors by Amsterdam in acrylic. One's copper and one is bronze. And the little symbol down here shows you that they are somewhat transparent. I don't know if they tell you anything more about that. Not really. But that's what that symbol means. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these two colors up as a glaze and sort of blend them together on here and see what we get. So first of all, let's squirt out. We don't need very much of this, so I'm using a disposable palette here. A little bit of that. That's the copper. Yeah. And then this is the bronze. And then we're going to mix it in with some glaze. Now the glaze, you can kind of eyeball it. I think I'm going to make it about 50-50, 40-50. And we'll just see here. And it's looking to me like it could use more glaze. Or more, whatever this is called, glazing liquid. I want it to be fairly translucent. Getting dangerously close to my bronze here. And you see I have a little bit left over that I've mixed yet, but I've got very close to me my little wipe-off journal here. That's what I've been calling it, where I'll put my excess paints into that. Okay, let's just try a little bit of this and see. Oh yeah, that's fairly translucent. In fact, it might even make it a little darker. I think I could go a little darker actually. So let's take more of the paint color in here. Let's just see. Yeah, that's a little better. It's got a bit of a sheen to it. Which is fine. Okay, now let's mix up my other color. I'm not going to be too careful about wiping off this because I am sort of going to be mixing the two colors together. This probably needs more of that. Maybe mix a little of that in while it's here. Okay, let's see what we get. I want some of the background papers to appear through this, but this is just unifying the color. And again, we're just in the background stage of all of this, so heaven only knows how much of this is actually going to appear in the final product when we get it done. But it's better than looking at a blank page. That's the thing that I have a lot of trouble with, is getting started, and I know lots of people have that. It's called the white page syndrome. Okay, that's not looking too bad. That red's poking through still from that other one, but that's okay. Let's add a little more of this across the top, a little more of that. I'm not worried about the sides of my canvas because I will probably be painting over that. Well, not probably, I know I will be painting over it but not until I get most of this done. This dries fairly quick because I can feel it getting a little bit sticky. Now I'm wondering if I take a paper towel and I just sort of, yeah, I like that. That's giving me a little bit of texture. I'm taking a little bit of the paint off just by dabbing, but I'm getting a little bit of texture here, so yeah, I like that, rather than it all being completely smooth. Okay, that's enough of that. Alright, so I'm going to, as I said, I've got some of this left over, so I grabbed my, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. I grabbed this journal and kind of stuck together here. So this is where I'm starting to put, I just started doing this. Lots of people do this just to use up whatever they have left over. So, and then you've got sort of the start of backgrounds. Oops, got a little over there. This way you're not really wasting any of your paints, and you're kind of getting a nice journal effect as well. Okay. Again, I'm just going to dab it a little bit just to give it a little bit of texture. I have no idea what I'll ever do with these pages, but I will do something with them as time goes by. Okay. I'm just going to set this aside to air dry, and I'm going to dry my other piece with my heat gun and then decide what I'm going to do next. Okay, so now I think I'm going to add some more texture with this by using some texture paste. And because I'm thinking of making this look old and rusty and that kind of thing, I'm going to use this stencil by Tim Holtz, which is called, got it back, I'm not sure what this one's called, but it has this sort of crackly look on it. I'll try to get the light on it right, which I think will work really well because I'm going to use some crackle paste. And this is a crackle paste called Chroma Crackle. I have a picture of it up here that I bought the other day, and I tried it on something else, and actually it didn't really work that well on what I was doing it with. But you're supposed to let this dry until it cracks, and then the idea is I can put some more color on top of that into the grooves of the cracks and things. So I'm going to squirt some of this out here onto my palette, and it kind of looks, it's very clear. It kind of reminds me of matte medium, and I'm just going to put it on with my palette knife. It's fairly soupy, and what I've already done is I sprayed the one side of my stencil with repositionable spray, because this one has a lot of open texture areas to it, and so just to keep the pattern, although I'm not that concerned if I don't get that much pattern out of it, as long as I get some cracking. That's what I really want. And I'm going to put this all over, and I'm putting it on fairly generously, and of course that's going to be very difficult for you to see. Put out some more here. Doesn't go that far, I'm finding. A tube of this was about $7.50, but you could get a much bigger jar of it as well. But I had never used this before, so I didn't want to really invest in a huge jar of it until I see how it works. As you can see, it's kind of difficult to see how much I'm really getting on here. This will definitely have to dry, I think, several hours. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it overnight. Ooh, it makes rude noises. Because I don't think you can really heat this with a heat gun. It's something that has to air dry in order to get the real cracks in it. So I hope this is going to give me some good cracks. Well, I got it on there pretty thick that time. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it directly on. Yeah, I'm putting it on pretty thick. But I do know from past experience with other crackle pastes, you need to put them on pretty quick, or pretty thick as well. So, in order for you to see the cracks. Okay, now I missed a part in the center here, so I'm just going to take a little, and even though it's not going to be in the stencil, I'm just going to sort of just tap it up there. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but then I am going to put other things on top of all of this, so I'm not going to get too concerned about that. Okay, that's enough of that stuff. So as I said, I'm going to let this dry overnight. I don't know, I can tilt it to the light, doing it with one hand here. You see, there it is. I get the light on it, you can see. So we'll see what that looks like when it dries, and I add some color to that. Okay, so see you in a few hours. Okay, so I put that crackle paste on this canvas, and I let it dry overnight. And it has a very, it's dry, but it's got a very kind of rubbery feel to it. And there are some very fine cracks in it, which I don't think the camera can pick up, but they don't look very big. And so I'm thinking, this may not have worked out very well at all. I also, suddenly, in the middle of the night, sometimes I get my best ideas when I'm asleep, I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if I should have mixed that stuff with acrylic paint and then put it through the stencil. Because I have a feeling that what I'm about to try is not going to work. But let's see. I bought this the other day. It's by Finnabar. It's called Rust Effect Paste, and there's 3 bottles in here. And I got them at Class Act, my local scrapbooking store. And lately I've been wanting to do something with a rust effect, so I saw these and thought I'd give it a try. Now I'm not really sure how these work. They're kind of a paste. They don't really give any real directions. It just says, opaque, thick paste with matte, rust-like finish, perfect for creating rusty texture and adding dimension. Great for steampunk, grunge, and masculine project. For best effects, apply 3 colors of the paste with a sponge, palette knife, texture tool, or paint brush. Water-based, archival safe, non-toxic. Okay. It says all 3 colors. Well, I'm going to try this. It's got this color, and this color. I'm going to try this color to start with, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to use my finger. I have a little protective seal. Ooh, okay. I need something here because I'm going to make a mess. So grab a sheet of deli paper and put that there. And I've already got it on my finger, so I'm going to take a little and I'm just going to rub it and see what I get. And just as I suspected, I'm really not getting any of that crackle from that paste. But this stuff actually has grit in it. It actually feels like rust. So I think I will. I'm just going to put this in different spots on here. I'm going to put it on too thick. Okay, let's try. I'll put all 3 colors like it recommends. definitely gritty. Well, you can hear it when I put it on as well. And I'm kind of blending the colors together. Okay, let's try the last one. Ooh, we got a lot of shadows. I need to do something about my lighting. Now this one's pretty dark, as you can see. I'm just trying to blend it in a little bit. The dark one's pretty dark. Oops, turned that upside down. This might be worth trying to play around with on other projects a little bit more. It actually flakes off. It's like grit in it or something. Okay, I'm just going to leave that as it is. I'm going to hit with the heat gun, see what happens when I dry it. But see, it's coming off too. So I don't know, I may have to put a sealer over top of this before I do anything else. But I'll try drying it first and see what happens. And I'm going to clean up the mess on my hands, and I'll be back. Okay, while I was applying heat to this rust paste, something really weird happened. Look at this. See the white spots? See the cracking that's happened here? This is what that paste was supposed to do. But it seemed, even though it's been drying overnight, so it's had like 12, 14 hours to dry, air dry on its own, when I applied the heat to this, it seems to all come up to the surface. And so I've got all this cracking and crazing going on here in spots. And I applied quite a bit of heat to this. So now I'm thinking, I think I'm going to leave that. I was thinking maybe I should cover it over. But there'll be other layers on here. But I don't think I'm going to try to add any color to that. I'm just going to let that sit as it is. And the rust stuff seems to have dried as well. But it's definitely got a rough texture to it. But I am thinking that maybe I need to put a sealer coat of maybe clear gesso over top of this, because this still feels very gritty to me, although nothing's really coming off. So, but if I put some clear gesso over top of it, it gives me a surface to paint over, because I don't know if this stuff is water soluble or not. Doesn't really say. It says it's water based, so it might come up. So I think I'm going to seal this with a coat of clear gesso, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've coated this with some clear gesso and I've dried it, and I'm actually kind of liking this background right now, but I want to break it up a little bit more. So I'm thinking I'm going to use a text stamp like this, and I use some heavy body paint. And my first go-to was to go to the heavy body black acrylic paint, but when I was looking in my box, I found this one, which is a purple, a dark purple, and okay, how do you say it? Dioxazine, something like that, purple. Anyways, I think I'm going to use that. I'm going to apply it with my brayer to the stamp. I'm just going to stamp all over this. I'm not going to worry about how clear of an impression I get, because I want to look sort of distressed anyways. But it's just to break this texture up a little bit. So I'm going to put the paint on fairly thinly, but I'm going to use my brayer for that. Ooh, it's a pretty purple. Purple. I'm wondering now. Oh well, we'll give it a try. And let's see. And of course, I don't have a support underneath this canvas, so I'm not going to get a strong impression. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I'm kind of liking that. Let's see here. Yeah, this is breaking up the background a little bit. I think I'm going to put it on all over it. I think I need a little more up here. Yeah, okay, that's enough of that. So, yes, that kind of breaks it up a little bit. So that's not bad, and I've got a little paint left over, so let me put a little bit over here into my wipe-off journal. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the mess here, dry this, and we'll come back. Okay, so now my background's all nice and dry, and I think that's all I'm going to do with the background. Now it's time to add some elements on top of this, since this is a mixed media piece. And I've got a bunch of things I pulled out, and I'm not sure how I'm going to use these. I always lean towards butterflies, and I really like butterflies. So these ones I got these at Harrods in London, England. Yeah, a few years ago when I was in London. And I think they're really meant to be like for their place cards, it says. So they're kind of neat. I don't know, maybe paint over them. Maybe flip it around that way, kind of layer them. Maybe. What else have I got? I've got these kind of like paper butterflies from K & Company, and they came from the Dollarama. I've got these numbers too, which I kind of like. I think these came out of a pile of stuff that my friend Kristen gave me, and I kind of like them. So I don't know, I could maybe put one there, one here. Maybe use some of my oxide inks on these butterflies. You can make them three-dimensional. Pop one up on top of another one. Might be good. I'm just laying this stuff out right now just to get a feel for this. So there's that. I have these wooden numbers as well. I could probably paint these, maybe use some texture paste on top of this as an element and paint with it. What else have I got here? I've got these little cream of flour things, which might, this package might look good. Maybe tucked in. Something like that, and there's these little leaves that can go. I'd have to raise that little number up. I don't know if I want to raise that number up. Or I just glue those over on top. Yeah, I don't know. I've got these keys, these old keys. Actually, maybe that would look good on that. And like again, these are ones that I could maybe antique up a little bit more. I'm getting too square. Getting too square here. Maybe, let's see. Do something like that. Then I've got some packages of ephemera here. Tim Holtz ephemera. If I can get into this. Just dump these pieces out here and see what we've got. These are all kind of on vellum. This is like an instruction sheet, dressmaking guide, it says on it. Could tear that. I could sit there and let's see what else we got. Oh, picture of somebody I don't know. Playing cards, kind of a thing. What else is in here that's kind of interesting and fun? Some will look like advertisements. There's another picture of somebody. Maybe. I'm just playing around here with this stuff. I definitely think I'll do the butterflies with some of the oxide inks to give them a vintage look. I don't know what this is. Okay. There's a lot going on here, but you know, I kind of like it. Anything else I can add? I could go there. Let's see, there goes the clock. That's going to become, I think, my official trademark, the clock in my videos, because it seems to always go off. Oh, I have these little things, these little paper clippy things. They're actually sort of a travel theme, but they look kind of vintage-like. Let's see, there's one here that's got sort of a hot air balloon. I can get this thing to... Yeah, I kind of like that up there. I'm kind of liking this. However, I think on this one, I'll probably trim that off a little bit. Using the leaves up here. Do I have something else that would be leaf-like? And I could colorize that flower. And I got some little gold buttons. Maybe not that one. Maybe if I do some distress ink on that as well and put that into the corner, that might look good too. I need anything else? Maybe another flower with another button. Ooh, I have this flower. How'd that look? I don't know if that color's quite right. It's a flower I made out of some of that. It's not shrink plastic. I forget what this stuff was called, but it's like resin. But maybe darken that a little bit in the color. Okay, whole lot going on this piece, but I'm kind of liking it. I think I need something in here. Maybe in the center of that flower I need a button. Now let's see, what have I got? I'll have to take the shank off that, and maybe another button or something over there. Let's see, what have I got? No, not that. That one might be okay. And I might age those on the edges too. And do I need something up in here? No, I think I'll leave that as it is. Okay, so I got a lot of stuff happening on here, a lot of things I need to alter. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to take a picture of this so I know where everything lays out, and then I can work on the individual elements layer by layer, and we'll see how this works. I know this looks really, really busy, but I'm kind of liking that, the busyness of it, and I think once I get the color of these changed and that, it's going to all come together. Okay, so I'm going to take a picture of this and then I'll be back and start working on the individual elements. Okay, so I've printed out the picture that I took of my basic layout, and I've got it sitting here over to the sides as a reference. I've taken all the upper layer levels off here, and I'm just going to work first of all of getting these pieces stuck down. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to age around the edges, and I'm going to use some permanent ink. This is archival ink from Ranger, and when it's dry, it's waterproof. So I'm using my ink blending tool here, and I'm going to go around the edges of each of these pieces just to help them stand out a little bit more from the background. And because this is a fairly dark piece that I'm working with here, I am putting this on fairly thick, a fairly heavy layer of it as well. It's difficult to get around the little curved pieces. And I'm not that concerned if I get more or less in certain spots, that's okay. Okay, so that piece is going to go down here. And do the other number. It also helps to give these pieces a bit of a shadow effect, again, which adds a slight bit of dimension. But I'm going to have a lot of dimension on this piece when it's finished, because with everything that's sticking up from it, so that's a good thing. I didn't come into this with any kind of plan, as you can tell. I had already pre-picked out some things I thought I might want to use and pulled them from that box. I didn't use everything, but that's okay. Didn't intend to really use everything. Now these pieces are from vellum, and so as you can see, they're going to take, the ink's going to show up on these a little bit more. And another reason why I'm using an ink that's more permanent is on vellum, this stuff can smudge if you're using something that's water soluble. Now actually, you should take some of the old family photos that I've got, like from back in my grandparents' and great-grandparents' age, and actually take them, scan them, and print them on vellum and see what happens. So I can make my own little found relatives on here. Rather than using some of Tim Holtz's found relatives, because I don't know who these people are. That would make it a little bit more personal, I think, if I did that, but for this piece, I'll think of that for something in the future. For this piece, I don't think I'm going to bother with that. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Okay, I've got all those elements inked. So now I'm going to go back to this Mod Podge that I used originally for this. I could use matte medium, I could use a glue stick, whatever. I don't think I'd use a glue stick because there's kind of rough on here. And I'm going to stick these down and then hit those with the heat dryer and then start working on the individual elements that are going to go on top, because I have to do some alterations of those. Okay, so I've got this layer glued down, but I had some problems. I was using this Mod Podge to glue these elements down, and they weren't really sticking very well. And as you can see, the vellum ones are sort of curling up a little bit. So I had to go to my Art Glitter glue. Doesn't have any glitter in it, that's just the name of the company, and use that to stick down, especially the vellum elements. They want to curl. They're still a little wet. I did put the heat gun on them, but you can see the edges are curling a little bit here. And actually, that was disturbing, but I don't think it's too bad, because I'm trying to give this a real rustic, antique-y kind of look to it. So the curling up, as long as they stay stuck down, really adds to the dimensional effect, I think. Now over here, I have this wooden one that I painted with the metallic bronze paint first, and now I've put out the 3 colors of the rust paste on my palette, and I'm going to sort of scrape them through this stencil. This is the stencil that I used with the crackle paste before underneath, and give this a little bit of texture and a little bit of aging to it. And I'm thinking that I'm going to mix a little bits of these 3 together. And maybe I'm not. I'm not sure how this is going to look. Well, worst comes to worst, I'll paint over it. Okay, I'm getting kind of a crappy brown color now, so enough of the mixing of the colors. Some of that more reddy brown in here. I did spray the stencil with some repositionable spray, because this one's got a lot of open areas to it. And I need some more of that red. If I can get a little bit more of that in. Okay, mixing the colors together may not have been a good idea. So what I think I'm going to do here, just clean this palette knife off. And I'm going to get a bit a little bit more of the red. And I think I could use a little bit. I'm going to wipe this in my wipe-off journal. It's over here on the far table. Waste not, want not, I guess. And let's try some of the more goldy color as well. Get that in here. Oops. Shoot, that might be more than I really wanted. Yeah, that's really... They don't seem to all have the same consistency. I wonder if I should be stirring them up. That might be a possibility too. Let's see if I can get a little more of the red going. Okay, so... And now I think I need a little bit of the brown. Okay, I have no idea what this is going to look like. Interesting. Let's take some of the excess off. Actually, just run a little of it along the edges, the side pieces here. Can't see what I'm doing because I'm holding this. Yeah, like really, why am I doing all of this? Okay. All right, I'm going to clean up this mess, and I'm going to dry that, and then we'll do some more things to that. So, I'll be back. So I've applied my rust paste to this piece and I've dried it. It's still a little damp. Kind of interesting. Whatever. Now I want to put it down on here, and the Mod Podge is not going to hold. And I think I'm going to try the Super Heavy Gel Matte and use that as my paste. And I think I'll just take a little out of the jar onto a palette knife. And I'm just going to spread it, butter it, as I've heard Mike Deacon on his YouTube video say when he's sticking things down with gel. I'm putting it on fairly heavy because this is a fairly heavy piece. And it does dry clear, so stick that right down there. And hopefully that will, when it dries, will hold this down. I'll see if I can get rid of some of this excess that's on here. Don't know if I'm doing a very good job of that, but anyways, it does dry clear, so we'll be okay. And then I've got this key, and I don't think I need to age the key anymore. It's already naturally aged. But I'm going to put it down with some of this as well. Just butter it up, as he says. Okay. Just use my finger to take some of the excess off around the edges. Okay, I'm just going to leave that so it sets, and then I may take the heat gun to it in a bit. So I've got those pieces on, and now I think I should look here back to my reference page, and yeah, I was going to put the keys out here. that. And I think I'm going to use this heavy gel again and get those stuck down with it. I hope this stuff holds. I'm doing this off camera here, but you can see it's kind of messy. Oops, maybe a little bit too much there. And let's hold that down for a few seconds. Gosh, I hope this does dry clear, because I'm making quite a mess here. It should. And I'll take this one. And the little one. Now this is the first time I've ever bothered to use gel medium as a glue, like in the terms of putting down heavier objects. So that's why I picked the super heavy gel, and I'm hoping that this will hold things in place. And I'm just going to let those sit for a bit. And what's next? Let's see, looking at the diagram. Okay, I've got the little flowers that are going to go down here, and that's this bunch of things here. Now originally I had them underneath the tube, but I'm not going to do that again. Actually, I think I'm going to leave those little stem ends on because I can hide those behind the leaves. And I was thinking of cutting some of this off, but maybe not. That'll give me something for the glue to sort of grab onto, or the gel. So we'll get this out again. And I'm going to be pretty generous with this stuff. Just referring back to my diagram. And maybe bend that a little bit more over this way. Actually, maybe I should put a little underneath in here too. And this piece, it's going in the middle. This is going to take some time to dry, because I'm being pretty heavy-handed with this stuff. But I don't want anything falling off either. Okay, I'm going to bend this one out a little bit more. Okay, leaves. So yeah. So this could turn out to be a piece of crap. I'm hoping not. It is a crap video. Must remind myself that this is all an experimentation, so no, actually I need to put that down further. Oh, fart. I said fart. So I didn't want that little stem piece to show. Well, of course, I still got my butterflies to go down here too, so that'll hide out a little bit of that. So maybe, okay. I'll put that one up a little higher, because I think I can maybe hide that with the butterflies. Okay. Anything else to stick down with this super stuff? Yeah, we've got this flower thing. Now, that was going to go right there. I was going to put a button. Which button was it? The one that looked like a flower, this one. And I think I'm going to have to take that clasp off. So I'm going to need some. I wonder if I can just do it with a pair of Tim Holtz scissors. Oh yeah, no problem. It's just plastic. Okay, that worked okay. Alright. But I'm thinking I need to age around the edges on here. And maybe do that with some of the paint, some of the acrylic paint, because this is acrylic. I'm off camera. This is acrylic, so if I put a little of that acrylic paint on it, maybe with my finger, some of that stuff. What color? Let's go with the copper. Copper's a little darker. And I'm just going to use my finger. Actually, I'm just going to kind of wipe it across the whole thing. Yeah, that'll work okay. But I think I'm going to have to hit that with the heat gun as well. Actually, leave that because I'm going to be using that. So we're going to heat this to dry it. So yeah, you don't need to watch this part of it. So I'm just going to pause the video at this. Okay, so I've attached my flowers and my leaves here, and I did that with the super heavy gel medium. And then I took my little flower here that was, it's a plastic stuff that I made some time ago. It's in my stash. And I didn't like the way that it was too stark. So I took some of the acrylic copper metallic paint, and I just used my finger and dabbed it around on some of the spots here. It's irregular. It looks worn. I'm not going to touch it anymore. It's kind of messy, but that's okay. And I've glued it down using this glue this time. And I put this little flower button piece. I cut the shank off and put it in the center, and I use this glue to glue it down as well. And you can see it's still wet. I toned it down a little bit with some black archival ink in the center. Over here I added this button. I took the shank off it, and I maybe should have taken some more of the shank off because it's not straight. But then again, if it goes crooked, I'm not going to worry about it. I've glued that down with this glue again. And I took this little piece of flower here. I cut off the bottom of the stem a little bit, and I've glued it down with that same white glue here on the side. So these pieces are all drying now. And what I have left is this little flower piece that I want to put this little button in the center of it, but I got to change the color of this, and I need to do something with the butterflies. And now I'm thinking of using on all of this stuff, using the Tim Holtz Distress inks, or the oxide inks, to get sort of that water effect on it, the watercolor effect. So I'm going to get those out and I'm going to try those. Okay, so I have my little flower piece here and these butterfly pieces, and I'm going to use the Distress inks on them, and I'm not really sure how this is going to turn out. Well, if I don't like them, I can start over because I've got more of these. But I've picked out 4 colors of Distress ink, and I'll explain my reasoning why I picked these colors. I picked Walnut, Vintage Photo. Oh, I thought that was Walnut. I'll have to get my other applicator here to see where that is. There we go. I have an applicator for each one of these. So I picked Vintage Photo because it's got sort of that antique brown look to it. I picked the Spiced Marmalade and the Fossilized Amber because in my piece I have sort of these colors in the rust. If you remember the rust paste, sort of like these, and I'm thinking if the two get sort of mixed together I might get more of that rusty color. And then I want to add just a splash of color to this, so I'm picked out the Wilted Violet because I used, if you remember on that background stamp, I used the Heavy Body purpley paint color, and although you can't really see it, move this into the shot a little bit more, you can't really see it in the background that well, there is that tinge, so see what happens. Now it's a question of what do I do first. So the little flower piece, I'm going to start with the Vintage Photo on everything. Just jump right in here and just dabbing it on. You know, while I'm doing this I'm getting kind of little circles, but I don't really care. That's okay. Alright, so that's that. Then let's go to the... Oh, it's pretty bright. Well, try it anyways. This is the Spiced Marmalade. Oh, it's not this bright once you put it on top of the Vintage Photo. Okay, and then let's try the Fossilized Amber. It seems to be toning down the orange a little bit more. Now these two pieces I'm going to be sticking down flat, sort of as background pieces. But when I do the other two up here that are going to be raised up, I'm going to have to do both sides. Okay, so I've got that. And now the Wilted Violet. Okay. Now I'm thinking what I need to do is I need to go around the edges with some of the black, and I think I'll just use the archival black for this. Sorry if I'm going out of shot here. I get so involved with doing this that I forget that I'm videotaping it and for you to see. This is just to give it a bit of a shadow, a little bit of definition. And I'm going to do the same thing to the flower. This is just one of those little Prima flowers that you buy at Michael's that are just in white paper. Okay. So now, let's see. Let's just move this stuff over to the side here. Right in our desk space. Okay. Let's pull in our piece. Let's just see how these will look. Okay, and the flower will go someplace in here. They're dark, but I think they go okay with it. I'm thinking I might, though, go a little lighter in the color on the pieces that are going to go up on top here. So this one, I still want to add this little button piece in here. So get out our glue. Put it down for a second. Oops. And as I mentioned before, I've already gone over that button with some of the black archival ink just to age it a little so it's not quite as shiny. I think I'll let that sit to the side for a moment just to dry, and I think I can probably glue these ones down before I start working on the other. And I don't think I need to put a lot of glue on this. I can just sort of glue into the center. Maybe just a little over on the edge here and a little bit here. And I do want these to go off the page slightly. Kind of covered up the numbers here a little bit, especially the two. But you want to know something? That's the nature of mixed media, layer upon layer. So never get too attached to your first layers because they're probably going to be covered over. Okay, so those, set that aside, let that dry, and let's work on these two pieces. And I've got these on the right sides because I'm going to put that one over there. Put that one over here. Okay, so said I want to do these a little lighter. Let's start off with the fossilized amber. Oh, one thing I didn't do, which is the whole point of using oxide inks, is to splash a little water. So let's get out my water bottle. Go over here, set these aside for a second. And I'm just going to mist. Ooh, I said lightly. That's enough. You can see it right there, it's oxidizing. That's the whole point of oxidized inks. I'm just going to hit it with the heat gun a little bit. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but that's oxidizing up. Gives that little, those watermark effects, which I think is really neat. This is my new product that I'm loving a lot. I've been using it on a lot of things. Okay, enough of that. Go back to these. Okay, so I've done yellow. I'm going to try the purple. these are so delicate that trying to blend the color out so I can get rid of those little circles from dabbing on it isn't particularly easy. Now I'm just wondering, are they still too bright? No, actually, I like that. I'm going to leave that, but I am going to go around the edges with the black archival ink. And then I'm going to, before I glue these down, I'm going to spritz them with a little water to get that oxidizing effect. And now I'm sort of thinking in my head, finishing touches on this. Should I add any kind of glitter? I have a little glitter on the leaves already there that came with the leaves. But we'll wait till we get this down on here. So let's put our covers before I do any water spritzing onto our inks. Really, I'll say again, if you haven't tried the Distress Oxide inks, you really have to. The trick, though, is to do it in layers, and I haven't really been doing it in layers. But if you do it in layers, dry between layers, because they're a mixture of pigment and dye inks, so they'll stay wet a little longer, and each color will come up through the next layer if you do it that way. And they don't really make mud. As you can see, even mixing these colors, it didn't turn into mud. Okay, let's give them a little spritz. Okay, enough spritz. And let's dry them. This one's curling on me, but that's okay. I can uncurl it. Oh yeah, guess what? I forgot. It's going to do both sides because these are going to be three-dimensional. So let's give them a little bit more heat here. And let's flip them over and let's do the other side. So fossilized. Where is it? Fossilized amber. And wilted violet. I don't know if I need to really give this side any water. Yeah, what the heck. Let's be consistent, and we'll do that. Just because I like how they react. This is kind of neat what's happening here on the palette too. Whoa, this just made me think of something. This palette has a slick side like freezer paper, which I haven't been able to find freezer paper around in my area. And I saw some people doing acrylic skins using it on freezer paper. I wonder if I could do the same thing on this. I bet you I can. Okay, future project, possibly a future crap video. It's funny how you go from one thing to the next and you get new ideas. I make lists of ideas. Hundreds of ideas that I come up with when I see things, new products, when I see new YouTubes, see things in magazines. I write them down. Do I ever get to them all? No. Sometimes they sit on the list for so long I forget what it was all about. Okay, I think I'm pretty dry. That's the side I want. I think I got these reversed. Yeah, I think that might be the one side. No, this is, okay, that side, this one, because I want them the opposite. So that goes up the top up there. This is the side that goes down here. Okay, I've got things straight now. Okay, I'm just going to bend them a little bit to give them a little bit of dimension before I stick them down. And then this one's going on the top. We'll just bring this into shot so you can see. Just putting the glue in the center. And the same with this one. Okay, when those dry, I'll fluff the wings up a little bit further. But yeah, I'm kind of liking that. Now, we still have this piece. And I think it's dry enough to stick in here, and I think I'll just stick it down like that. So I'm going to use this glue again. Okay, so wondering if I need anything more up here. It's kind of dark up here. Alright, this is now where I have to make some decisions as to how to finish this up. If I want to add anything more to it, this is always the hard thing to do. I think I do want to add a little bit of shimmer, maybe to the butterflies, maybe with the Wink of Stella. There's already a little bit of glitter on these leaves. Not sure about here, whether I want to add anything. That's kind of shiny there. This area up here. Do I need something else up here? Possibly another flower? I don't know. Weight-wise, I think I've got a good distribution here. And I'm just wondering though if I put something up there where that's going to make it top heavy. Now I'll look at my stash and just see if there's something I can add there. So we'll see. Okay, so I'm all done with this piece now, and actually I think it turned out pretty good. So is it crap? Not in my opinion it isn't. Maybe in yours it is. But whatever, I think it's kind of different. It's neat. It is very busy. There's still a little bit of the white glue has to dry on here, and once that's dried completely and it's all clear, I might give it a couple of coats of spray varnish just to preserve things onto it. I did add a little bit of glitter onto the butterflies, just in a couple of spots, and a little bit more onto these flowers as well, just with a Wink of Stella. And I found one more piece to kind of finish it off, and this little yellow bird I thought sort of fills in that space at the top and adds a little punch of color as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for future craft videos. Bye bye.